Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
I celebrated a ceremony last night. All of that blood indicates the procession by the devil Balujaru.
Or something like that.
Something like that.
237, recorded March 11th, 2025.
Gruesome Magazine.
My name is Jeff Mohr. That's all I got. And this podcast is about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. Each episode by co-hosts Bill Mulligan, Chad Hunt, and Doc Rotten will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. With me this week is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and co-host of Decades of Horror, the Classic Era. How you doing, Chad?
I feel cold, and my face especially feels cold and slimy.
Cold and yeah.
Slimy, wow.
The air's getting to it for the first time.
Yeah.
How long? Decade?
20 years, yeah.
Yeah. Also joining us is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, all-around nice guy, published author. How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing all right. I'm coming down with a cold like everybody, so.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
Well, also joining us is, for the third episode in a row, is Jerry Chandler.
Hello.
He had to look to check your name.
Yeah, well, I did. I for some reason I was going to say Mulligan again. I just
because I always
Jerry Mulligan.
You always make sure I read his emails and comments.
We rotate. We rotate
it.
It just comes up that way every time.
Yeah, sure.
Well, thank you all for joining me tonight. And Decades of Horror and Gruesome Magazine partnered with Play Now Media. The streaming service with lots and lots of channels. And in fact, we are on some of their channels. And Decades of Horror, the 1970s, is on the Wicked Horror TV channel. We do have a promo code for them. So if you enter DOH70, it's DOH all caps 70, when you subscribe, and you do need to be a first-time subscriber and do need to do it on their website, you will get 20% off your first payment. So if you sign up for the monthly plan, which is $6.99 a month, you'll get $1.40 off. If you sign up for the annual plan, which is $50, you'll get $10 off. So you can get a year for $40, which ain't anywhere near $6.99, is it? It's like $3.33, something like that. So anyway, it's a good channel. It's got a wide variety of stuff and really oddball things I don't see too many other places. So check them out. What we do here on Decades of Horror is we talk about a movie. The first thing we do is give some details of the movie, and then some first impressions, taglines, and then we talk about the movie in general. And while we're doing it, we show some images that we've put together, that Bill's put together for us, about the stars, the cast, the crew, the posters, and all that stuff. So our topic this episode is The Night of the Sorcerers from 1974, written and directed by Amando de Ossorio. And wow, we're just really hitting him. I was noticing. Yep. I think I have a copy of what's the one, the Fangs of the Dead, or
Fangs of the Living Dead.
Fangs of the Living Dead. Yes, I think I have that. So maybe when I get one, we'll do that one. Yeah. Written and directed by Amando de Ossorio, he of the Blind Dead Quartet. The cast includes Simón, Andreu, Kali Hansa, María Kosti, Loretta Tovar, Jose Delman, Barbara Ray, and Jack Taylor. Production companies are Pro Filmus and Hesperia Films. Filmed in Madrid, Spain at Estudios Ballesteros and Aldea del Fresno. Filming date, I don't know, but they were done on May 14th, 1974. The release date is December 16th, 1974 in Spain, and 1976 for the U.S. as a TV premiere.
Yep.
AKAs, the original title is La Noche de la Brujos. In Italian, it's La Notte degli Stregoni, the Night of the Sorcerers.
It's
in
naughty.
Germany.
Naughty.
In Germany, it's not voodoo, even though it's spelled that way, because the W is pronounced like a V. So it's Voodoo Inferno des Grauens, which means Voodoo Inferno of Horror.
Okay.
And also Voodoo Orgy des Grauens, the orgy of horror. The synopsis: an African expedition encounters vampires, or voodoo or witches, whatever, at the site of an ancient sacrificial altar.
I made one that looked just like that with my old Vincent Price shrunken head kit.
Yeah, you could do it with
Oh,
an
really?
apple.
Yeah.
Cool. It doesn't. Anyway, those were used. Those were like you put the curse on them. I think they said something like that. So they'd find one of those hanging outside your.
Mhm.
It really kind of looks like they shrunk a coconut and then carved it a little bit. But that's
Yeah, thank
whatever works. All right. Well, this one we're going to do first impressions now, and this happens to be Bill Mulligan's pick.
Yep.
Not only is this the third episode in a row that Jerry's joined us, but this is the second in 3 episodes that's a Ossorio film.
Yep.
All right. So, Bill, why did you pick this? And
Why?
what were your
Oh,
first
well, do I have to
impressions? When
defend
did you
myself
first
now?
see it? All that stuff.
I think I saw it on that TV premiere. And the thing that's crazy, this is one of those things I stayed up very late at night, had never heard of this movie, and started watching it. And the scene where the woman gets her head lopped off was completely unedited. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was looking around the room because this is like Channel 11. Channel 11 doesn't show gore. They cut away from everything. They cut away from Universal Monsters if they thought they were getting a little too froggy. And here I just saw someone actually get their head cut off. I couldn't believe it. Nobody else was awake to witness this. Now, I realize now, watching it now, they did cut out every single ounce of nudity. So it was a much shorter film on TV than what we experience now watching it on Tubi. Yeah, so here's the thing. Is this a good movie? By most standards, no. I can already see Chad, like the wheels turning his head. By any standard, no. This movie is what you would get if you were like living on booze, cocaine, and men's magazines. And I mean old school men's magazines. Weasels Ripped My Flesh. Panther Vampire Women of Africa. I mean, it looks like they just took a bunch of covers and made it into a movie. It doesn't make any sense, even by the limited logical sense of horror movies. This one makes zero sense. Are they witches? Are they vampires? How do they get their heads cut off and then they come back? Are those little ribbons they wear around their neck actually attaching their head? That's pretty weak. How come bullets can't kill them if they're fired from a gun, but if you throw the bullets into a fire and they start randomly going pew, 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 kills them dead?
Oh, you're
so much as
spoiling it now, Bill. You're just spoiling it.
I'm spoiling everything. Listen.
Hey, by the way, folks, we are a spoiler podcast.
Oh, we are totally a spoiler.
It's kind of late to tell you that now.
And this is a De Ossorio film. So you can expect things like a character who dies comes back as a zombie for no good reason whatsoever. I've researched a lot of zombie literature, and I've never seen anything about if you drown in photographic developing liquid that you come back as a zombie. I don't think that's one of the ways. Although, what do I know? I wasn't there. And of course, it wouldn't be a De Ossorio flick if it didn't have slow motion. But here's the thing I love about this film. You know, I make no bones about it. I love women, and I especially love beautiful women. And I love beautiful women monsters and I really love them when they're running in slow motion wearing leopard bikinis. Well, this is the movie. This is it. There's at least 15 minutes that is nothing but leopard vampire women in bikinis running around in slow motion with the the happiest smiles on their beautiful faces. Like, you've never seen a beautiful woman so happy. If you ever find a woman that beautiful who smiles like that at you, you know, you're blessed among men. And here's the closest you're probably going to get to it. They really enjoy being vampires. They love it. They're having a great time. And so am I watching them. Now, yes, we could pick apart this movie, and we will. We will. It's a what?
I think you just did, kind of.
85-minute movie. That 85 minutes that probably has 40 minutes of story. And a lot of padding.
Pushing.
A lot of padding. And not all the padding is beautiful women running in slow motion, but the good parts are. I just think this is such a ridiculous exploitation movie, beautifully shot, like razor sharp cinematography. And I had to go back and look who did the cinematography. He's just a guy who did 1,000 movies in Italy and you know, didn't go on to any great shakes, but had a career. This movie looks so much better than The Lorelei's Grasp or, you know, most stuff. Certainly better shot than a lot of the Blind Dead movies, although they're fine for what they are. But this one just has a really good color scheme. Okay, the day for night, a little weak, but you know, take what you can get. I don't know. It's like there's such a good print out there too. I enjoy this movie for what it is. I said when I watched Lorelei's Grasp, I was thinking this is like a men's magazine story, and I think that's what he really wanted to do. He enjoyed that pulpy, you know, narrative thing, and this is it to its limit. So I thought it was great fun. I enjoyed watching it again. It was pretty much the way I remembered it, with more nudity, lots more nudity.
Okay, well, thank you, Bill. And by the way, the cinematographer, for those who are Spanish cinema aficionados, is Francisco Sanchez. All right, you know what? I want to hear from Chad now.
Yeah.
Kind of a point counterpoint.
Point counterpoint. Bill, you ignorant slut.
No, I'm not going to do that, Bill, you ignorant slut. No, this movie is horrible. I mean, horrible.
It was so bad you ripped all the hair off your face.
Yeah, all the hair fell off my face when I watched it.
To stay awake, you had to rip the hair off.
But it's but it is one of those that is so bad I enjoyed it because I was laughing at it, a lot of it. They should have renamed this movie Night of the Bionic Vampire Women. The slow motion, they're running in slow motion all the time. All they were missing was the bionic sound effect.
That's right.
But the part two where the head gets lopped off and then it turns around in that little catch basin that they had there and just goes. That was excellent. I love that. That was so funny. I forgot to laugh quite a few times. The 2 times they did it, I thought that was that was great. The bikinis, I still want to know where these women are getting these bikinis from. You know, especially ones that don't have bodies 5 minutes ago. Now that all of a sudden they've got a body with a bikini attached. I never thought I'd see the day when I said this. There was a lot of sex in this movie and nudity. Almost to the point where I caught myself fast forwarding.
Wow.
Through a lot of it. Which just made it worse, really.
Yeah, gives you energetic sex.
Yeah. But there was a lot of nudity in this. And what movie is not great that just starts out with a woman getting her clothes beat off of her with a whip? I mean, not all movies start that way, and this is just one of a kind in that way.
Yeah, most movies work their way up to that, but this one,
this one started right out. You know, they'll whip her clothes off. You know, that kind of thing. So this is a bad movie, but I enjoyed watching it just for the fact that it was so absurd and made no sense at all. None whatsoever. I kind of enjoyed watching it.
Excellent. Well, Jerry,
tiebreaker.
I hear tell you like this one.
Yeah, I actually like it. Well, I like it, but no. I like it, but I like it just because of the fact that it's kind of like one of those things I've explained on like some convention panels as a warning to audiences. If I say I really liked that, I enjoyed that film, but you never hear me say the words, it was like really intelligently written, it was good, it was that's kind of a red flag for normal people. I really like it. But I like it because it's crazy. It's just so bizarre and so crazy. And interestingly, it's actually it's like it's so poorly written in some ways that you're not quite sure what's going on at the first, maybe third, because that opening scene that Chad's talking about with the whip, you've got this scene where you've got what's supposed to be these African natives, and they've hauled this woman to this clearing, and there's this stone structure that looks like the bottom part of a vampire's jaws open with this little bit, and they tie her up, and they're doing the whole chant ceremony, and the guy gets his whip and takes apart the clothing with the whip in a way that like even Indiana Jones couldn't quite have worked out. And then they take her over, they cut off her head, and that's when like the whatever they were supposed to be, the British colonial forces, show up and just start shooting everybody, and everybody falls down dead. And then it cuts to the woman's head in the basin with the blood coming down it, and suddenly the head by itself turns around and she's got fangs. And when you first watch it, and I've got a fairly good recollection of when of my thinking when I first saw it, because I only first saw it in like the last 10 or so years. When you first see that, you're kind of like, oh wait, were the natives the good guys? Were like they trying to get rid of a vampire that came like with the Europeans from England? And so now you're going into it and you're thinking, oh, there's going to be some weird connection with that, because there's no point in which you think they've turned her into a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start getting into it and you notice like the only vampires in Africa appear to be white women. So you keep going with that. And then by the time you're done, you're just kind of like, I'm not sure what the story was supposed to be, other than vampire women that like to have sex with men and bite other women to turn them into vampires. And that's about, yeah, and that's almost like the entire story. that's so, but taking that thin whatever story and putting it on there the way they did, it's beautifully shot. It's got some crazy looking scenes, and some of them are admittedly so stupid that they should be funny. You were talking about like the vampires running in slow motion. There's one scene where the one woman is running from the two vampires, and every time they show her, she's running full speed, normal footage.
Yeah.
Then they cut to the vampires chasing her, and they're bouncing along in slow motion in their bikinis.
Bouncing.
And then they cut to her and she's running full speed. And at one point she like hurts her leg or something, or she just slows down for some reason. And now she's walking normal speed and they're still being shown running, but in slow motion. And apparently they're literally running in slow motion because she's now walking and she's getting ahead of them.
Well, yeah.
So it's like, but as goofy as it is, I just think it's like one of those like really, really just screwball films. It's like, yeah, it's so bad this is enjoyable.
Okay, I'm kind of with you there. You guys took all the good stuff. Although I will say about
You could talk about the sex in the river.
the vampires running in slow motion. The one thing we did learn that the one in regular speed, she does get caught. So the one thing you learn is a woman running regular speed can get caught by vampires in slow motion in the jungle. It takes.
I knew that already going in.
It takes a while.
You know.
But the other thing, when they chop off the very first beheading,
Okay.
and then they zoom in on the head, and the head falls down into the little thing, and you see the neck there, and the knife is embedded in the neck. Well, the knife was like 2 inches up the neck from where the head separated. I don't know how that happened, but they hit it. You know, it's like if you got hit here and your head separated, 2 inches higher.
You actually see something that is never a part of a human anatomy. I think it was the peg that held the severed head to the torso.
Well, I was thinking it was
out.
actually pretty good effects. I thought because that was probably supposed to be a spine or something. But yeah, okay, you're more versed in that stuff. And watching the slow motion running, I'm glad you guys mentioned the Bionic Man or Bionic Woman, because I kept thinking, because they would leap through the air with these silly grins on their face and the vampire teeth and the leopard bikinis, and then they would put in this Foley work of the foot hitting the sand.
Mm-hmm.
that was sort of a slow motion too, and then it was silent. I was like, this is really familiar, but there's something missing here. And now I realize it's a that should have followed right after that. Yeah, it's bad. And the other thing is, now, Jerry, you had the Blu-ray?
Yes.
So I watched it on the Blu-ray, and then I was watching on Tubi on my laptop to try to pull some quotes. And I didn't realize, at least on Tubi, I assume it's the same version, but I didn't recognize the translation being so bad and so awkward. When I was trying to write stuff down, everything sounded like one of those Japanese movies where they don't even use it. Like one of them said, I want to help. Consider me at your disposition.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. And there was another point where the girl said, oh, she's just molested with me because blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? She's what? I don't know. Anyway, there was some very odd translation going on. And then, the rhythm of their English was off because they were trying to match with the lip movement. So in the middle of the sentence, they'd stop for a second and then finish the sentence instead of the natural break. But yeah, and I think it's like close to 10 minutes before you get any dialogue, because first we have the jungle ceremony from 1910 or 11, whatever that was, and then they come back and they're going, and the first dialogue we hear is, "Come on, why don't you help?" And then we get an instructional video on how to put together a tent, one of the big tents with all the poles and stuff.
There was some of that padding I mentioned.
And then the women, you need to come and help. So I'm going to carry this thing in here, set it down, pick something else up, and walk someplace else. That was, I don't know, just stuff like that. I was dying, and the dialogue was killing me. It was crazy.
Well, you know what it is, right? It was 10-1 odds, given the time that it was made. They didn't have it really so much in Europe, but if they were planning to sell overseas, in Australia and America, it's prime in the era of the drive-in is king for the low-budget exploitation films. So 10-1 odds.
Sure.
10-1 odds. This was, we need to make it this long. And you had the filler spots, so you could go either get your snacks. Then you had the filler spots where you could ignore the movie and make out with your girl. And then there would be a scream and you could look up, oh, here's the cool part. Okay, now we can go back to making out.
Where Rod makes out with the girl too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was the music during those parts was just like
The music is whack.
I don't know how I know there's a name for that style, but this really sort of I don't know, lazy resonant guitar work that just at the minute Rod and Tunika got together.
Yeah.
Oh, there it comes. All right, guess we're having another sex scene. Anyway, and they were fairly long.
Yeah. Yeah. They
For
wore
what
out
we
their
got
welcome.
out of it, you know.
Yeah.
Those weren't long at all. I don't know what you all are talking about.
What are we talking about? Well,
Padding.
now that we've done, there was a lot of padding. There was a lot of padding.
Sex padding.
Well, that's better than
And
tent padding.
slow motion leaping padding.
I'm fine with that. They could have doubled that amount. I'm fine with that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It's like it's Night of the Sorcerers. No, Night of the Leopard Bikini Wearing Vampire Women. Maybe
That's a fine title for this movie.
that'd be a fine title. Okay.
They kind of reminded me of like the Man Show, where they would always end with girls jumping on trampolines over the
Slow
credits,
motion,
and you're riveted watching the credits. I was.
You were riveted.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a simple man.
Now you can see that on Instagram all the time. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's now time for a little segment we call Taglines with Chad. Played by Chad his own self.
You know, I haven't seen these taglines, but I'm going to make a bet with the quality of this movie, the writing especially. I think these are going to be, I don't know how many there are, but I'm guessing each one of them.
Well, I'll tell you what, there were none in IMDb. So I had to go scrounging for these. These are all real. I don't know if we'll see them all.
So these are scrounge taglines. Well, you've set our expectations sufficiently low now.
Well, it's better than the last show we did where he hired Mikey Z to come in and write fake taglines for me to read.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
That's genius. What movie was that?
Night of the Big Heat.
Night of the Big Heat.
He had something about how you sweat so much that even Gatorade can't replenish your electrolytes.
Wow, that's
Anyway.
funny.
Okay. These are more or less the usual taglines we get.
Uh-oh.
Never before such savage sensual scenes that go on forever. Prepare for terror.
Wait, that's just prepare for terror?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for the heads up.
In blood color.
In
I
blood
assume
color.
that was sort of like Technicolor, only they
Yeah.
thought this would work. I don't know.
Magic, voodoo, vampire women, satanic cults, vampire women on the moon.
Take my money.
Yeah, so that actually gives you a good idea what you're in for. I think.
No lies were spoken.
All right. Well, thanks, Chad. And that's been
my pleasure.
Taglines with Chad.
Chad's our hero, cool and rad. With him reading taglines, they can't be that bad.
Hey, I had a beard there.
Yeah.
The one
missed it
tag
so much.
The one tagline sounds like it was written by someone who was ticked off they had to watch the movie.
Which one was that?
It goes on forever.
Well, I think that was Chad's.
Yeah, I made that up.
Embellishment.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do have Bill put together.
It should have been there, though.
Bill put together some posters here, so let's take a look at some of those.
That is so damn cheap and so good.
Kind of a mock-up of what they put on the cover, and that's I couldn't find one that had the actual English name that had any credits on it like a normal poster would have.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those have. Now, obviously, there's no taglines there, but that is some great artwork, and I'll bet I can just tell by looking at them that woman on the top is moving in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
And the one on the bottom is
a poster.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
And you got the eyes and the mouth and then this was apparently something that came with a DVD or Blu-ray or something. I would assume the way it's folded up.
Holy cow! The painting looked better than the real thing.
Yeah.
So their Chad is never before such savage sensual scenes as they really got into the alliteration there, and
Blood
also
color.
blood color.
As opposed to the poster, which is in 2 colors. So it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, we can make the bikini yellow and we'll make her hair black and white.
Now we get some crazy stuff.
Yeah, what the hell?
I'm just like, oh my God, what is that?
Oh, if you think that one's weird, if he's got the German one in here,
I do.
forget about it.
Oh, jeez.
I added the German one. So
Well,
yeah.
weirder than this? I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Well,
Although
pretty
this
weird.
one does show one of my favorite bits that I'd totally forgotten about, because all I remembered was the women. The zombies coming out from under the rocks.
Oh,
That was
yeah,
some
yeah.
off sound effects. And just very cool, as the rocks
Well,
slowly. It's
but did
padded
you
like
notice-
everything else in the movie, but it was.
I was looking at those rocks and going, okay, those have to be like foam or styrofoam or something that's painted, but yet I saw one of them that I swear had a imprint on it, like a brick company that made it or something. I swear. But the other thing that was weird about that was, so the first time we see them, they gradually start to move, and brick by brick they tumble off, and they sit up. But then at the
Slowly
end,
we turned.
Yeah.
At the end, they're just materializing on top of the bricks.
Yeah. Well.
I
But
I
those
guess
are the
you
ones that get killed by bullets. So maybe they should have taken
Skulls.
Well, I don't know.
They
What
have
are those?
kiss makeup on.
What's that?
I said the skulls there look like they have kiss makeup on.
Yeah, well, those were kind of cool. Those masks that they had all posted around were kind of neat.
Yeah.
Uh,
When they got run over at the end, it was like they were just running over big bales of hay. Which they probably weren't.
okay, and then I think this is. Oh,
See, look at how much she enjoys her work. Becoming a vampire is the best thing that ever happened in her life. She just wants to share it with all her friends.
Yeah,
And they're both smiling.
Yeah, straw bottom and a leopard, or actually that looks like it might. Yeah, it's not real anyway, so it doesn't matter.
No.
Okay, now
And I love the fact that when they were running, I left that out when I was thinking about it. It's like those aren't just like kind of a throw over your shoulder cover. They're literally cut like capes.
Yeah.
They're like Captain Marvel down to your waist cape cut. So it's like as they're running along, they've just got that little.
Yeah, it's for maximum style when running in slow motion.
And here's the German one.
Oh, what? What movie was this made for?
I don't know. Obviously, the orgy of des Grauens voodoo. It looks like
Still looks better than Hammers the Gorgon, sad to say.
It's just, I don't know. I just don't know. There's nothing even remotely resembling that.
No.
And then I threw this on there too, just because we keep talking about that. But the Blu-ray was a double feature with the Loreleis.
Get a lot of bang for your buck with this Blu-ray.
It is.
Especially since I got it for like $10. So.
Oh, sweet. That's a good deal.
Okay. I was trying to think how to do it. So we have this expedition, and there's 2 guys and 3 women, and then we have the local guy who just kind of periodically just comes walking out of the jungle in his pressed white outfit.
Yeah. Don't know what his deal
Smiles, everyone. Smiles.
Yeah.
And I forget what his name was.
Rapey McRape face. Being a,
Tomunga. Yes. And
just out of nowhere.
Yeah. I think we might have. Okay. Well,
I will say this. I had a bad time putting together some of these graphics because I'm not sure which woman was which. Besides being face blind. Apparently, so is Google, because they gave, the same picture was credited to 3 of the actresses.
Right. Well, I was searching Night
Not
of the
helpful.
Sorcerer, and I was getting all kinds of other weird movies. So I imagine it's something that's been, other movies have been released and re-released, and that might be one of their.
Well, it's not just
good to them.
it's not just that. It's also recent. Something's going a little caca recently, the last year or so, with the Google search. I've noticed that looking for movies,
Yes.
because you'll search whatever it is, and if anywhere else on the page there's even a link to another movie, you might get the thumbnail for that movie.
Yes, this has been a problem.
Okay, so we said the writer-director Amando de Ossorio.
I just recycled this from Lorelei's.
Well, why not?
Grasp.
I mean,
Sure.
Hydra.
One day we'll
again.
do that one.
Night
Just
of
the
the
one you were
Seagulls.
talking about, Malenka. Oh, is it? It's so terrible.
Yeah, it's a crap copy, but it's watchable.
Well, it's a
on
crap
YouTube.
movie. I mean, there's no. It could be pristine, and it would still be a crap movie.
And there he is himself posing with one of the blind dead.
Who also moved in slow motion, but they had a good reason. They were dead and blind. If they ran at full speed, they'd be hitting trees and things.
And so we have now done 3, 4, 5, I think 6 the Ossorio movies, and we still have Night of the Seagulls to go.
Yep.
And the Blind Dead.
Saving it.
And the Sea Serpent.
And the Sea Serpent. And Malenka, I think, is that a 60s? Or is that early 70s? I'm thinking 60s. That's the one that was Fangs of the Living Dead or something.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. Well, he does his thing, and it's not really surprising after just having watched the Lorelei's Grasp. The difference here is, well, and actually the Blu-ray, I didn't watch this. I don't know if Jerry did or not, but the Blu-ray has an option to watch it with without the nude scenes or with clothed scenes. I think is what it says on the Blu-ray.
I don't think I've ever used that option.
Yeah, I didn't. I would have, but I didn't have time.
That's right up there with the cruelty-free version of Cannibal Holocaust.
So let's double check. This is Barbara King, who was the
she was the first victim.
Yeah, she was billed as Barbara King. She's actually her name is Barbara Ray, and according to this, she plays Agnes the missionary. I'm not sure we ever hear the word Agnes by anybody, but
yeah, that's.
I think after this movie, no one ever named their kid Agnes. After that, since then.
Well, there is. Well, never mind. Agnes of God.
Yeah. So that's Barbara Ray, denture wearer, down on the bottom there. This is when she makes that amazing head turn. That is probably physically difficult once you've been decapitated.
Well,
and then you're like, okay, so what happened next? Did the British soldiers, by the way, the slowest soldiers in the history of soldiering, they just taking their time, cleaning their rifles, setting their sights while this poor woman is being set up with a person dancing around with a machete. And then as soon as her head gets cut off, it's like, oh, well, now we better do something. Pow, pow, pow. But what happens then? So she's a headless body. How does she turn into a vampire? How does her head get back on the body?
So she was also in. This is great. She was in the Ghost Galleons, but she was also in the Lorelei's Grasp. But she was one of Lorelei's assistants, one of those snake bikini women down in, or whatever they were down in the cave.
That's why immediately, as soon as I saw that scene, I was like, hey, we got to do Night of the Sorcerer, because they reminded me of the probably used the same,
which IMDb insists on referring to as when the screaming stops.
I noticed looking up the actors in here, de Ossorio liked to use the same people.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Well, some of these are fairly common throughout. So she actually, I like that look when she like the head all of a sudden turns and look at that. I have a bloody mouth and vampire fangs now, and my head is sitting in a pool of blood on this thing. And later on, you mentioned, Bill, they get in a fight or something, and somebody rips the ribbon off her neck, and you see where the cut was, but her head doesn't come off.
No, well, that would have been expensive. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can see where the heart surgery scar is. The heart doesn't fall out.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, fair enough. But that seemed to defeat her, having the ribbon taken off, which is, I don't know, that just reminds me of one of those ghost stories you would tell around the campfire. The wife, there was this, I remember distinctly, there was a story about a wife who always wore a ribbon around her neck, and she told her husband never take the ribbon off. And like all idiots in these stories, he gets obsessive. What's the secret with this ribbon? And finally he takes it off, and her head bounces off, and she's like, I told you not to take the ribbon off. And the moral of the story is, listen to your wife.
And now don't steal my golden arm.
And don't unscrew their belly button. Then we have because your butt falls off, right?
Yeah. Does it?
So Carol Heiress, is this really Carol Heiress? Let me look.
I don't know, because there were multiple.
Oh, that's actually the that's the character's name. The character's name. She's the photographer. Her name is Larita Tovar.
Okay, that makes sense.
She was a photographer, and she had the brilliant idea that, I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. And I didn't quite get her whole spiel. It's hard to make it in this business or something, sure. Some kind of befuddled translation. And I'm going to make my name getting shots of Rod and what was her name? Tunika having sex and publishing it.
Maybe she's going to blackmail him with it, because that is a way to make some money.
But then I'm going to go over to the witches' circle.
Sure.
And I'm going to see if I can get some shots there, which I could be.
Well, what's the worst that could happen?
Famous, but what I like is, they'll see your flash. Oh no, I have infrared equipment, so they won't know I'm there. And then as she walks over there, she continually goes, no one will know I'm there. Anyway.
Well, okay, so she was bad, but you know who was also bad? The natives early in the film, when they sneak up on these people there, and they're hiding behind a tree that is as thick as my finger. And I wonder if they can see me. Yeah. Everyone.
Tamunga says, come on out, guys. Come on.
Yeah, come on out. You're not kidding anybody.
You're not fooling it.
Oh, by the way, I want to say something about the sets. At no point did I believe they were within the earth of Africa. I mean, it looked about as African as looking outside my house right now, and there's a pine tree.
A little stock footage would have went a long way to show they were in Africa or something.
I think, didn't they show a couple elephants at some point? And
that could happen at the zoo, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you know what bothered me a little bit too is in the first scene, in the prologue, we have these drummers, and they literally drum for 2 minutes, and nothing else happens.
It's exactly 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh no, Chad, you're getting worse than me. I didn't anyway. But and when we come to present day, we hear the drums, but there's no drummers. And actually, we don't see any drums either. They just are.
They had the tape recorder by then.
I guess.
You know how I knew it wasn't really Africa? Because the woman goes down and puts a chair by the river with her back to the river, which you would never do in Africa, because that's how your ass gets eaten by a crocodile or whatever. Yeah. Just no.
What else?
I thought that's what was going to happen to her, actually. But it
would have been in slow motion. It would have bite.
That's not a gator.
It would have looked like the Lorelei.
I just want to say, all these women they went from solid 8s to 10 plus once they became vampires. So there's the allure of evil right there.
Fangs are sexy.
All right, so now I got to try to remember her name again.
She looks like she's going like this.
Larita Tovar was in Return of the Evil Dead.
Okay.
The Legend of Blood Castle. I don't know that one. Do you guys? Directed by Jorge Grau.
I think that
Oh,
one's
Grau. Okay.
I think that one's on like all those public domain
Yeah.
sets.
Then when the screaming stops, the Lorelei's grasp, El Spectro del Terror, which is
That sounds familiar.
Ilorieta, Jose Maria Ilorieta. A twisted sleazebag stalks and strangles gorgeous women in this Spanish terror classic.
Well, that's pretty judgy.
The Bill Mulligan story.
Hey, now. Now cut it out.
Count Dracula's Great Love.
Okay. That's actually kind of interesting.
Javier Aguirre. I don't know where else I lost my place. It happened at Nightmare Inn.
Well, if you go to Nightmare Inn and something bad happens, you've really got no one to blame but yourself.
La Ilamida del Vampiro.
The Vampire Llama?
That's also Ilorieta. So lots of stuff clear back in there. I think Creeping Death. Ton of movies from 72 to 74 in this genre, which is directed by Mario Bianchi.
She's a good sport because she's willing to stick her head through the paper mache stone idol and pretend to be a decapitated head.
Oh no, this is crazy. This can't be the one.
Uh-oh.
She is in The House That Screamed.
Oh.
Which is by Ibanez Serrador. Narcisco, the guy that did
Vampires?
Who Can Kill a Child.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which we'll have to do in Classic here sometime. Well, now I feel good for going through that whole list.
Yeah, she's
covered
acquitted herself nicely.
That was her second film. All righty. Well, who's next here? We've also got Maria Kosti, and she plays Elizabeth Meredith, the heiress, the one who wouldn't get her hands dirty.
No. You knew she was going to come to a bad end. She was in Demon Witch Child. We did that. And the soon-to-be-done Night of the Seagulls.
Look at little Paul Naschy there.
A little Naschy. Yep.
The Dracula saga. I've never heard of that before.
Saga might be a little strong.
This looks like maybe some. They were going nuts in the early 70s. I didn't quite realize that. I need to look up some info on Spanish horror. But for instance, and I don't know what these are, but she was in Vengeance of the Zombies, and then the Dracula saga, The Killer with 1,000 Eyes, The Night of the Sorcerers.
That he only had 2.
Yeah. Demon Witch Child, Exorcism, Night of the Seagulls. Those are all in a period. Oh, A Dragonfly for Each Corpse. Yeah.
This is when Franco was still kicking. If you wanted to make a movie about, parasitical dictators, they had to be vampires.
You didn't have one for Callie Hansa, who she's the one I like the most, the one that was hanging out with Rod. She had that, I don't know.
Yeah.
She had a look. She was in Demon Witch Child too. She was a gypsy witch.
She was the only one,
a lot of credits.
like Snow White, so she's the half-breed.
She's in a movie called White Skin, Black Thighs.
I'll bet that's a very sober analysis of the civil rights movement.
Anyway,
I
sort of enjoyed her. I don't know why. I just thought she was mad at everybody. Everybody was out to steal Rod. He was such a good catch.
I'll murder you.
And in
and
fairness,
then
she was right. He's a dog.
This guy,
Speaking
Jack-
of Rod, no,
Jack
no, that's
Taylor.
not Rod.
Oh, we got the professor first here.
Yeah.
Look
Look at this guy. So this is the one that blew me away when I realized he was my favorite character in Conan, the priest. This guy, and then you look it up. He's in tons of stuff, and he's in one of the only good Jess Franco movies I actually like, Succubus, playing his character William Mulligan. Hey,
Wait, what?
yes, that's the name of his character in Succubus.
He's in some great stuff. I mean, The Ninth Gate.
Yep. Yeah, I put most of his
Pieces.
crap in here, but he was in a bunch of good stuff. He's got very intense eyes. He looks like
This
someone
guy's
who,
a working actor. He's got over 100
Yeah.
credits.
Yeah, he's every time you see him in something, you recognize him because you've seen him in like 20 other
right.
movies
And
somewhere.
Yeah.
He's probably got
You might
more
not
credits.
remember him, but you've seen
Yeah.
him.
He's probably got more credits than you think because, like, the female vampire, the Jess Franco movie here, there's at least 3 and I think maybe 4 versions of that movie. So, these guys knew how to squeeze every ounce of money out of a project.
I'm trying to figure out where he is in the Sea Beast because I literally just watched that last night.
The Sea Beast?
Or the Sea Serpent, Hydra.
Oh. I thought he had a more substantial role in that one, but I might be wrong.
Well, I mean, there's he would also probably be a little older in that one.
Yeah.
And
No,
you had a lot of, because you were dealing with so many sailors and dealing with fish, everybody had the scuzzy looking like makeup on. So
I think the last time I saw that movie, I was just too busy holding my head in my hands, wondering, how bad Ray Milland had to feel to be in this piece of junk.
It's a paycheck.
Yeah,
I think this is.
and it wasn't much of one.
The Mummy's Revenge. Is that the Nashi film? Yep. He's in
Sounds
that.
like a Nashi film.
And you guys mentioned you've got the Ghost Galleon. That's what I kind of recognized him from. The Vampire's Night Orgy. Female Vampire. Vengeance of Dr. Mabusa.
Oh, Dr. Mabusa.
Dr. Jekyll versus the Werewolf. Nightmares Come at Night. Count Dracula.
Yeah. He was Quincy Harker, I think, in that one.
And the second is Sir William Francis Mulligan. He not only is his name William Mulligan, it's Sir
Yeah, well.
Cleopatra. He
which
makes
one?
Well, I'm going to say it's the
bad one.
version with Elizabeth Taylor. Yeah.
Now, in fairness, that movie had a cast of thousands, so it'd probably be more significant not to have been in Cleopatra.
Well, he has he's Caesar's Greek slave, as opposed to, I don't know. Anyway, Custer of the West, he had a thing in there. Wow, this is just insane. He's probably just a soldier.
Custer of the West is one of my favorite bad westerns because Robert Shaw was such a fantastic actor, but he is struggling not to sound like Robert Shaw in that movie. I don't know. Who knows what Custer sounded like, but I don't think he sounded like Quint from Jaws.
Well, I kind of felt like this guy, Jack Taylor, and his character, the professor, that was the one that was actually acting with some sort of trying to add some seriousness to it. Otherwise, it was these women fighting about whatever, and
We're taking a bath.
Rod just being a goof off. Yeah, sure, I'll take my watch. Any problems out there? Nope, didn't see a thing.
I was a little shocked that they killed him off. I had him pegged as the last man standing, but no. Face full of developing fluid.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. You know what was interesting about the face full of developing fluid? I mean, well, okay, interesting may be an overuse of that word. Whenever I look at that scene and how it plays out, and then how it continues to play later. It's weird because you go back to The Blind Dead and you have like a scene where, you know, they kill the young lady.
Yep.
And then she comes back. You've got what are nominally zombies. She comes back and they used a lot of red for that. She comes back and she's more of a vampire and she attacks the guy. In this one, it's like vampires. They kill him. It's the red scene. He comes back a little bit later and he's like a slow as molasses zombie who apparently can't figure out that all you have to do to leave the tent is just do this, not just put your hand here and start touching the tent fabric. But it was really, really weird because
He forgot.
Yeah, he forgot.
It's almost like they were making it up as they went along here.
But it was just kind of a weird thing I noticed, that it was like that he kind of did that with the two films. And it's like, it's the mirror opposite each time. It's like zombies and you get back a vampire. Here it's vampires and you get back a zombie. And there are these very weird parallels to how he places the scene into both films. That's probably overanalyzing.
I think that was a good point.
And it's almost like I like the film in that kind of enjoyable, weird sense, but there's a lot in here where it feels like it was like him doing, you know, Ossorio's greatest hits.
Yes.
We're going to do this scene. We're going to do this style. We're going to kind of shoot this sequence. And that's what this movie feels like. Like he wasn't really trying to make a movie so much as he had to make a movie. He barely had a story. And it was like, let's just do this. This worked in this movie. Yeah. This worked in this movie. And then we'll hang all of that here.
I feel like they got to the set and they realized that the script was just 3 pages front and back.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so start running and look, crank the camera fast, ladies, run.
A lot of
big smiles on your face.
Yeah. And I think it works. I don't know how many other of the directors of that time from that particular part of the world, I don't know how many of them the film would have worked with, because it being kind of like his greatest hits stylistic collection, it really is like style over substance winning out.
Oh yeah,
it is a wonderfully style driven film. Story, common sense, actual thought, no, but it is a wonderful style film.
Chad,
what? Hey, sounds good to me, man. Absolutely. Better than what I could have came up with.
Simón Andreu, who is really the guy that's been in the most stuff. 199 credits on IMDb, including
some pretty big ones like Die Another Day.
Yeah,
he's been in some major ones, but I was more interested in Blood Spattered Bride and Forbidden Photos of a Lady Above Suspicion.
Well, heck yeah. He was in The Way, which was that, I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but it's Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez. Actually Martin Sheen is doing the pilgrimage in Spain. His son died doing this pilgrimage over this famous road or trail or something. I can't find it now. So
was Joe Estevez in it? He's my favorite.
No, he was not.
Oh, wow.
El Camino de Santiago. His son died while he was doing that, and Martin Sheen goes over to get his body and decides to do it himself, and so it's one of those revelation kind of movies. But that's kind of cool. This guy is hey.
Yep.
All right. Well, Bill, we know what Bill thought was the most important part of the things. We have this girls just want to have fun.
Yep. The blood is very red. The girls are very pale and pretty, and like I said,
red and translucent.
Yeah, well,
in a lot of the parts, yeah. And then we have more girls, more fun.
Yep.
Oh, I love the nails.
Yeah, just living their best life.
In their tailored bikinis, outfits.
Well, it was interesting because you're right. They, I guess that's where it came from, but they tie them up to the trees and whip their clothes off, and then the I don't know, the other tribesmen or witch doctors or whatever with the masks on come up to them and drape this leopard blanket or cape over them. They carry them over to this altar, and then the next time we see them, they're wearing these bikini with the cape deal.
Yep.
I suppose there's a connection there somewhere.
Somewhere.
It looks African, quote unquote.
Very, yeah.
Well,
I posit that there is no connection, and it's all happening by chance.
Yeah. It was this movie could have ended with one of them waking up. It was all a dream. Like, yeah, that makes sense then.
Just like Dallas.
But instead, we had your classic 70s vampire ending, which is that if two people survive in a vampire movie from the 1970s, the last shot either explicitly shows or heavily implies that one of them has been turned into a vampire and will shortly make short work of the other.
Oh, yeah. That was, yeah, it did have that little zinger.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And then it
Light,
went.
light.
It gave you that like fanged smile, and then it went into the weirdly inappropriate happy music.
Happy
Well, depends on if you're the vampire or the guy that's going to get got.
That was also one of those scenes that, you know, was taking place either in the pitch blackness of night or the brightness of a afternoon, because yeah, this movie plays fast and loose with time. You know,
Oh, you guys,
night or what?
You said something about the day for night. Now, when I was watching it on Tubi, the night scenes seemed kind of dark, but on the Blu-ray, I swear the only night scene that looked like it was actually night was the shots in the around the altar and the circle of the witches and stuff. Everything else looked like it was broad friggin' daylight. I'm going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Isn't this the same time where they're going to find the people in the back, you know, and then it's going to be night?
Yeah. Yeah. The suspension of disbelief. Wait, so the difference is when the lighting is great, it's because they're shooting on a set. And when it's day for night, kind of schlocky looking, it's because I guess they figured they couldn't bring the Jeep on the set. So they actually had to shoot in whatever it was passing for Africa.
Yeah. And they didn't put much of a filter on it.
Nah, so. I'm fine with that.
I mean, you could, it's like nighttime and they kept showing glimpses of blue sky, you know, behind the trees and stuff. Anyway,
you know, when Dracula versus Frankenstein had been better if we could have actually seen the climactic fight instead of Al Adamson saying, "Oh, this is supposed to take place at night, so I better, you know, underexpose it." And it's like, no, we can't tell what's going on, Al.
Okay.
Actually, that fight probably looked better the way it is.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
All right. Any final comments?
Yeah, when we start talking about other movies, it's time to stop kicking the horse.
We got any comments? Got any
All right, we do. We have feedback.
Right.
We do have feedback. So let's move on to there. So after our 6th Ossorio movie, I think we need to do Night of the Seagulls next if we do one of those. Next one in terms of his.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Going down to feedback. On episode 189, The Werewolf and the Yeti, speaking of Paul Naschy, Sound of Silence says, this was a great movie. If only the Yeti was shown more.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Want everything.
Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. Episode 212, The Ghost Galleons. This is also from Sound of Silence. Jerry, could you take that one?
Sound of Silence says about The Ghost Galleon. I love these movies. I have every Ossorio film he did, including Sexploitation. This movie is great because of Oceanfront. There's only one kill scene, the thing I like about it, but hated the fact the poor director was given no budget, only half a ship on the stage. So director told them, if the film does not do well, you can't expect it when no money was put into the project. Imagine if the producers put up some money, what he could have done. They didn't have any nude scenes in this one or a lot of violence for other countries' distribution of it, but it made up for it on the fourth one. It does have a budget. Love blonde Sergio. He wears Kathy. Ha ha. Jack Taylor is early Mexican horror film Nostradamus series, Blood
I
of
think Nostradamus.
Nostradamus, Genie of Darkness, The Monster Demolisher, and Curse of Nostradamus. He is one of three. Thanks to the annoying one. He explained it well. Hi to all. I believe
Who's the annoying one? I think that must be
That
Chad.
might be Jerry, wouldn't it?
Oh, no, that's what
Oh.
I put as my name on that one.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Why is it always the first one you jump to is Chad on that? Who's the annoying one? That was Chatty.
I meant the anointed one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's
All
better,
right.
I guess.
Well, appreciate
Maybe.
it. Appreciate it. Sounds of silence. I love it. It's just, I'm going to be interested to hear what they have to say about this film.
Oh yeah.
Okay, episode 234, Scars of Dracula. And we've had this one before, but let's go with Bill. Joe,
Okay.
This is the one we can't figure out what the name is. It's either Joe Lashadali or Joel Ashadali or some other.
Joel Ass Hadali. Anyway, whoever you are, he said of Scars of Dracula. I love this film. The two I like the least, besides a couple cool scenes, are Dracula AD 1972 and Satanic Rites of Dracula. I like the premise of Satanic, but them being in modern times really takes me out of the movie. I really despise the spy angle, and I just don't think Lee's version fits in modern times. I think Count Yorga was a much better Dracula type character. My total affection for these Hammer films comes from seeing them all at my broken down, once beautiful neighborhood theater, complete with sticky floors and ushers with flashlights. Nothing beat the Saturday afternoon triple features. Funny they never showed them in correct order, but as a kid, it never mattered. Yeah, it's a good memory.
Yeah.
That's a great comment. Yeah, I remember the theaters I went to when I was a kid. They were always like gunk on the seats, and I know somebody was cleaning them up, but I don't know. All right, episode 2.
Spilled soda in the back row made its way all the way to the front row.
Yeah,
You hoped it was soda.
You know, did you guys ever, when I was like, this probably was all done by the time you guys went, but when I was a kid, and so we're talking early 60s, and you went to a matinee, maybe even mid 60s, they would have little local things that would happen up on the stage. And one of them I remember is collecting milk bottle caps. And I didn't do it, but I don't remember what the point of it was, but people would turn in these, they would thread them, you know, with like a needle and thread, and you'd have this big long thing with milk bottle caps on it. Back when they used to actually deliver milk to your house and put it in the little insulated box at your back door. All right.
Fabled milkman who fathered us all.
That's my distraction. Yes. My old boss used to say that. Somebody'd ask him, where'd that kid get that red hair? The milkman. Episode 236, The Lorelei's Grasp. Chad, why don't you take both of those?
Which one?
The Lorelei's Grasp. Both of them, Jose
Gotcha.
and
Gotcha.
Robert Baker.
Jose says, this is the one. This is one I've never even heard of. Nice to come across an unknown film that gets good marks from the crew. And Robert Baker says, I always thought this was a horror movie that somehow became a fairy tale somewhere along the way. Interesting film, especially when compared to the Blind Dead movies. I kept expecting Paul Naschy to show up when I saw this years ago on DVD, when it was paired with horror rises from the tomb. I revisit it every once in a while. Spain definitely had their own style back in the 70s, and it's good to see so many Spanish horror films coming out today.
Yeah, I agree.
Very true.
Thank you, Robert, and thanks, Jose. Let us know what you think of it if you watch it. Yeah, Robert's one that sends us to the feedback@gruesomemagazine.com address, and every once in a while I get a batch of them. So that's always fun.
It's great to hear from everybody. Thanks.
Yeah.
A fun day. Yeah, also from Sound of Silence, and I think that was it, Joe Lashadali. Joe, I know you've commented before. Please tell us. Maybe you don't want us to.
We're
really
mangling your name. Maybe it amuses him.
Maybe it's J. Olashadali. He's Olash. All right. But we appreciate it. And please, you can send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, or you can leave comments on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel. So you could catch us there. You could catch us on Wicked Horror TV, and you can get us on audio apps, podcast apps, wherever. All right. I know it's kind of scary to see our faces, but we do add stuff from the movie. All right. I don't know what we're doing. This is so every 2 weeks we do a different film.
You're bamboozled and befuddled because we're ending early.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, that's not it, because that's a long story. Anyway, I don't ad lib.
We could run in slow motion for 5 minutes if you want us to pad out an episode.
Add some sound effects too, yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, the next up, all right, is one that I picked, and we're gonna try to do Abby. This is like our holy grail of William Girdler films, because it's always such a crappy thing. And I happened to find it on Plex just before we started to record. And it isn't great, but it's easily the best version I've seen. Actually, the sound was pretty bad. The sound was the worst part about it, but we're going to try it. We're going to try it. So
they tried to bury this movie, so it's any version you find is good.
William Marshall, among others. So check us out for that episode, whenever that is. I don't know. What day is it? I'm off. It's Tuesday. It's not Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, check us out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Always
it.
a pleasure.
Getting you in here, and we've three films in a row we're making Chad read. He doesn't like that. Plus, on the other podcast, we actually did a silent film, so we had to read the intertitles. So that
No, mine was dubbed.
The silent film?
No, this one.
This one? Yeah, it was dubbed. But it's always fun to look at the subtitles and see how far different they are than the dubbing.
I hate reading.
All right.
So overrated.
Appreciate it, Jerry. Once again.
It's not even just the subtitles. It's half the subtitle anymore. Half the movies that have subtitles and the English language track, there's like entire scenes that have been shifted around.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for tonight, everybody. Say good night.
Good night, everybody.
Hi, folks.
Gruesome Magazine.